everybody. This is Ruta Lee. And oh boy, I'm inviting you to come say hello to me and to Pat McCormick on his fabulous podcast called Retro TV Trivia. There's nothing trivial about it. It's great.
Greetings, fellow classic TV fans, and welcome to Retro TV Trivia. I'm your host, Pat McCormack. With hundreds of film and television credits to her name, actress and author Dee Wallace is a bona fide superstar. Although she's nicknamed the Screen Queen, her contributions to all the genres are massive. On today's podcast, Dee joins me to talk about some of her classic roles. We also discuss her new book entitled Born, Giving Birth to a New You. I've personally read it twice and have put its practical practices to work. Her philosophy and teachings are healthy, on target, and so much in need these days, I truly do believe it's working for me. We also fondly look back at her esteemed film career concerning some rabid dogs and wolves, as well as a somewhat popular little green man from outer space. Enjoy! Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show the legendary, extremely lovely Dee Wallace.
Aw, thank you. What a nice intro. Hi, everybody.
Oh, it's so great having you join us. I've been a fan for, oh my gosh, over 40 years now.
Wow, thank you so much. I'll take all the fans I can get, baby.
Well, you've got plenty, just in case you didn't know.
Old and new.
Exactly. You know, it's what's great about the films, especially that one. It spans generational. You know, it's like my little kid, you may not have heard of the Howling, but chances are you've heard of E.T, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
if you're not, you don't live in the world.
Exactly. What's the address of that rock you've been living under? Please, let me know.
Exactly.
Well, Dee, I, of course, want to talk about those. Like, who wouldn't? But I'd rather start, I mean, fans, it's coming, trust me. But I'd rather start with a talk about this book that I just finished, entitled Born, Giving a New Birth to You.
Great. You read it. I'm thrilled.
I devoured it, quite frankly.
Well, you know, I wanted to keep it very simple, very straightforward, and I wanted to give everyone the formula for manifesting and creating in their lives. And, you know, I've been doing this work now for 45 years, and sometimes I read some of this stuff and talk to some of the healers, and I go, what the heck are they talking about? You know, it gets so elusive and so out there that you finish and you go, well, great, what do I do with it in my life now? Right? And so Born is just a simple, straightforward, this is the way you do it, easy to read guide.
Exactly. A handbook, almost. That's what I felt.
Yeah.
And, you know, of course, I'm coming straight from being immersed in autobiographies. I became a junkie this last couple of years, just reading about, you know, celebrities such as yourself. And then, of course, I wanted to get this book just because I'm into the, you know, the self-help kind of, you know, I was a big fan of Eckhart Tolle and still am. And with the Power of Now, I dove in and went, okay, here's the answer. But there's something missing. I don't know what it is.
Clarity.
Well, exactly. It's really hard to do on top of that.
Exactly. You just, look, God made the world in 7 days. How hard could creation be? Come on.
Exactly. You could do it in one day with this book, I swear. And it's short enough that you can read it that fast. Well, not that fast, but I mean, again.
Yeah, the challenge with any of this work is to do it.
Yes.
You know, we all want soundbite fixes these days. And creation doesn't work that way. It's easy, but you have to live it. You have to apply it consistently.
Right.
And then your life, once everything starts changing around, if you continue to create and focus and do the work, then it's just continual flow.
Right.
And that's what we want.
Absolutely. And the old adage, what comes around goes around, popped into my head, and I went, no, wait a minute. This says what goes around comes around, more or less.
Yeah. What goes out gets returned to you.
Exactly.
You bet.
And the thing is, going from autobiography to this was like, whoa, this is rocket science. Help, I'm never going to retain this. And yet, something happened. And I don't know if it was within the first 3 chapters, likely, where I went, okay, where's the hidden cameras? Is she watching me? Because
that's great. I might steal that.
It's true. I thought you were talking directly to me because.
Oh, I am. I'm talking directly to everybody because it's the same for everybody. I mean, we all have different limiting beliefs and fears from life and our childhood, but the way to change them and redirect them are all the same. And bottom line, the only person that can do that is you.
Right.
You know, I can guide you, another healer can guide you, another psychic can give you information, but you've got to put your life into practice. And as soon as you put your life into practice, your conscious intentions into practice, your life changes.
Right.
I do it every day with thousands of people.
Well, chalk me up as 1,001 because with the Tolle method, which is, be present. Above all, presence is where it's at. That's it. Okay, well, that's all there is. But what's missing? And it was like you said, direction. I mean, not asking, but demanding that the universe give you this because it's not only a good choice for you, but for the universe itself. And it gave the equation, I should say, it completed the equation for me. And I can't tell you how many decades I've been waiting for that to happen.
Wow. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Most people don't understand or don't want to take the responsibility of directing themselves and their energy. And we all learned in 5th grade, everything's energy.
Yeah.
And energy has to be directed to take on physical manifestation. So we direct energy through our thoughts, our feelings, and our belief systems. So every time we go, oh, well, they're not going to like what I do, we are literally directing energy to not like us.
Right. Yeah, and of course, like you mentioned, the monkey mind, one of my favorite terms. This almost just acted as a way of electrocuting my monkey mind. You are now
good.
You're not here anymore. And of course, why? Why does it always go to the dark side? I mean, why is it always fear?
Because
worry?
We're trained that way, sweetheart.
Yeah.
From the time we're little, tiny kids, babies. We are trained and modeled from what we watch in our lives to always expect the other shoe to drop. What's going to happen? The only way I can say what I want is to say what I don't want. I don't want this. I don't want a lack of money. I don't want disease. I don't want crummy relationships. But you see, your brain thinks in pictures.
Right.
So every time you say, I don't want, your brain sees what you don't want, and you continue to focus on what you don't want, which creates more of it.
Right. And the subconscious doesn't even know the difference,
No.
You have to be clear. And gosh dang it. Where was this book? I needed it about 4 years ago.
Well, you have it now, so get to work.
I did. I honest to God did. I mean, I've had this thing hanging over me for the last couple years that has just created all sorts of turmoil internally and externally, financially, you know, all of the things that hey, she's writing this book about me. What's going on here? But I applied the formula because I realized, even though it seems kind of a little on the complex side, actually, no, it's just the fact that there's so much science proving the fact that it's right, that I just said, okay, I'm just going to change my thinking from fear, from what's going to happen, you know, what if this, what if that, and I'm just going to go, you know what, no matter what happens, I'm going to love it. As a matter of fact, I'm going to throw my love around this whole concept right now, and it's going to be okay. I swear to you, just last Friday, 3 years of suffering came to an end with one phone call that I had only dreamed of getting.
Yep, that's how it works. That's how easy it is when you do the work. And we, you know, we betray ourselves.
Yes.
We don't realize that we are literally betraying our own creation with not loving ourselves, with thinking that we're less than, we're not being great as we can be and knowing our own magnificence. But really, how many people, when they're little, are taught, you're awesome and you're amazing, you're so powerful, you can have everything you want, just you go out and create everything you want. No, we're taught to keep ourselves small and not speak up for what we want. And you shouldn't even ask for what you want. You can ask for something if you really, really, really need it. Well, you know, I laughingly say when I speak that it took me 30 years to realize I needed to go to Hawaii once a year. Mm-hmm. You know, it's so funny around the powerful messages of God in the good book and what man has made them into.
Right.
And we really have to come to realization that I want to give you all the desires of your heart. These miracles and more will you do also.
Yes.
We were given free will to go be the creators, the gods of us on this plane.
Right.
But we have to accept that responsibility. But the little kid in us, you know, most people don't realize that how we see ourselves in the world, how we see the world, and how we see the world looking back and seeing us, totally locked in our brain by 8 years old. So if you want to find the walls that you keep hitting as an adult, go back and look at what you were taught or what was modeled to you by your parents and your grandparents.
Sure. From
conception to 8 years old. I have a great TED Talk if anybody wants to. TED Talk / Dee Wallace, it should come up.
Got it.
On this very thing about how our little kids are running the show.
Yeah, and you know, academically, see, I was in a religious school at the time, and it was before they realized maybe we ought to not be trying to scare people into being religious. But unfortunately, it was before that. And so, you know, fear was part of it. And I just wonder.
Oh, big time. Yeah.
I hope somebody in my lifetime figures it out that we need to get this information into the public schools, into all schools, because it's the answer. The kids have this wonderful philosophy at their hands, and these kind of books that you wrote to help guide them. Matter of fact, I wanted to bring out the companion book that you have for this. And I'm not going to pronounce it. BupaLaPaloo. Did I do it?
Yes, perfect. BupaLaPaloo and the I Love Me's. And it's the first in a series of books. And I'm thrilled to say we're in talks right now to turn it into a children's series to teach children on a simple, beautiful level the same things that I'm teaching in Born. So the first book deals with our little boy, Quinn, who, you know, meets BupaLaPaloo, this magical little bear, and his friends, the I Love Me's, and he goes, I don't know who I am. Grandma says I'm not old enough, and Daddy says I'm not strong enough, and Mommy says I'm not a good enough friend, and Bupa says to him, well, you've been asking the wrong people. Who do you think you are? Who do you want to be? Teaching kids that they must choose who they want to be, just like we do, no matter what age we're at.
Right.
That things don't just happen. We literally must choose our thoughts and choose our feelings to support what it is that we want.
Right. And that's the time. That's the time to catch them. You know, when it was easy for us to imagine the best for us. Easy for us to go, this is what I want. This is exactly what I want, no matter how far-fetched or make-believe.
I want this, Mom, and I want that, Dad. All right, you can't ask for what you want. Nice little girls and boys don't do that, right? And so we get to 20, 30, 40, and we go, God, why can't I just ask for what I want, right?
Let alone figure out what I want to be, you know?
Yeah, well, we all, you know what? We all know. We want to be healthy. We want to be happy. We want to be loved. We want to love. You know, we want beautiful, complete, honoring, inspiring relationships in our life everywhere. And you know what? Most of all, we want to love ourselves.
Right.
And that's where everything starts. Everything starts with you giving yourself permission to love who you are.
Exactly. Exactly. And I want lots of money, too, by the way. Yes.
Oh, you bet. And how many of us were taught that's okay?
Or not okay, right?
Yes. God doesn't like you if you make too much money, because then you're not humble.
Greedy.
Well, you know what? Money has no consciousness.
Right.
Our consciousness decides what we do with our money. And I love making money, because then my cup runneth over and I get to share it with everybody, with all the charities I love, with my family, support the people and things that are important to me in my life. The more you have, the more everybody wins, because you get to choose to share it.
Right. And boy, have you proven yourself? I mean, I look at your resume and I'm just like, well, yeah, I knew that. But even then, just to fathom all those films, the series, 200 commercials alone. I mean, it's just...
I'm recurring in 3 limited series that are going to start airing sometime in the first of the year. And I've got another book brewing, this time on my acting side. I've never written a book about acting, but I had this great idea to write horror stories from a life in horror films. What do you think?
I love it.
Let me tell you, I've got a million of them.
Oh,
you think
God.
What you see on screen is scary. You should see what we go through behind the scenes.
Oh, I think that's another bestseller for you. I'm sure of it.
Well, thanks. It'll be a very different book than Born.
Yes,
but,
I would assume so.
You know, I have such a successful career and relationship and money and an incredibly beautiful, fabulous, amazing daughter because of this work that I do.
Yeah.
And my health. I'm so blessed with really great health. And I'm not lucky. I'm not lucky because I am consciously creating all of it.
I like it. Now that's one I'm gonna keep with me for the rest of the week. Of course, I am just this huge horror and sci-fi fanatic, so I just can't escape the fact that, who you are, the cutest werewolf to ever grace the big screen.
My little Bambi werewolf at the end.
That's it.
And that's all animatronics. They called me. I was shooting Cujo, and Joe, Dante, the director, called me and said, Dee, everybody in the pre-screenings, they want to see you turn into a werewolf. I said, I'm shooting, Joe. I can't get... He said, well, we don't really need you. We just need your okay. And I said, fine. Just make her a little more vulnerable because I fought so hard against it.
Yeah.
So they came up with this little Bambi werewolf at the end, which I think is really cute.
I thought it was a great touch because you're already sympathetic to the character no matter what. And I don't think it would have worked as this gruesome, horrific monster. It was more like, hey, the point is proven and I'm about to really prove it. And by the way, aren't I cute?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're cute, all right. It's like, oh my gosh.
The news lady just turned into a werewolf. Oh, God. Joe, what he did with that movie, I mean, he paid for all of the commercials that you see in it and the film that we watch and stuff like that. I mean, he brought that film up to an A film.
Yes.
With his creativity and his participation. I was very, very fortunate to get Joe for that.
Oh, I was going to say, not to mention the cast. I think there were a few A-lists there, too. Jeez.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. And we all had so much fun. And I was engaged to Christopher, who played my husband when we shot it.
Right.
I had nothing to do with him getting the part, by the way, other than just Dan called and said, well, we've got everybody but your husband. And I said, well, what are you looking for? Well, he's got to be really strong and virile with this sensitive side. And I went, oh, my God, I'm engaged to him. But I knew if I said that, nobody was ever going to follow through on it, right? So they went out and found him. I said, his name's Christopher Smith or Stone, some S word. We did Chips together. Oh. And so they went out and found him, called him in. He got it on his own. The next day, Dan Blatt, our producer, called and said, oh, my God, Dee, I thought I was calling that guy you recommended. We hired him. And I said, no, this is the right number. And there's this long pause. And he went, oh, damn.
So Dee, you're doing some couch casting aside from us? Is that what's happening?
Well, I just suggested him because he was right for it. He got it on his own.
How ironic. I mean, poetically ironic, I suppose. But, yeah. And again, I look at that cast and, I mean, John Carradine, Slim Pickens, Patrick McNee. And then, ironically, someone that I was actually acquaintances with when I was living in L.A. during the 80s. She was a friend of a friend, and we became friends for a while, and that was Belinda Balaski.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful lady.
Yeah, and I was like, wow, that's my connection to The Howling, one of my favorite horror films. Little did I know, some 30 years later, I'd have an even deeper connection by talking to the star. Full circle.
Well, actually, Belinda and I both were the stars. We had equal parts in that.
Yeah.
And she's a good friend, and I love her to death.
Oh, that's great. That's great, dear. Tell her I said hi. She won't remember me.
I will. Oh, no. Belinda. She'll remember you.
That would be really neat. I used to go visit her house right off Sunset there. Like I said, I was dating someone that was one of her closest friends, and so it was a neat little opportunity to get to know her. Now, of course, there's this other film. Let's see, what's it called again?
Oh, that little E.T. thing.
Oh, yeah. We don't need to talk about that. Moving on.
Well, everybody probably knows everything. I've been, interviewed so much about it. Look, it's our Wizard of Oz. It changes people's lives. It reaches into your heart and grabs you, and it's truly a life-changing film, I think.
Right.
And it by no chance and accident that I got that film, because it's really about everything I teach. Keep your heart open, know what you want, know where you want to get to, trust the universe to help you, and you get home.
See, that's amazing that you could tie that in. It's a result. That book is a result.
Well, it's true, though, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what I've just learned reading this book. I got to chapter 7. I think it was 7. I went, I got to read this again. It's like, I'm going to read this again. I get to chapter 8. I think it was 8. And it's like, oh, she's reading it back to me. She's reading it back to me.
Read it and apply it and live it.
I said, where's the camera? Where's that camera? She must know I just said that. Oh, just incredible.
Good. I'm glad I got into your head.
You did. Matter of fact, I will be expecting great results from this practice because crazily it's already began.
That's right. It doesn't take long to see it, but the challenge is, look, whenever you go into a restaurant and order a meal, you don't go back and go, well, is it coming? Is it coming? Are you guys making it? Do you have enough food back here? Do you know what you're doing? No, we just know we've ordered our meal and it's going to be delivered, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of how you have to approach working with the universe.
Right.
You have to know once it's done. And let me tell you, the biggest secret is whatever you want, love it. Well, yeah, but we don't. If we get some kind of dis-ease, we don't like it, and we start judging it instead of focusing on the state of health that we love. If we don't have money, I hate not having money. I don't like it. I'm scared that I don't have it. Instead of loving money so you can magnetize money to you.
Right. Oh, man, I'm putting that one to work right away.
Well, it works.
I can't wait. After this last weekend, I believe it. I believed it when I read it because it makes perfect sense. But to see something actually go, hey, by the way, it works, happen to me was like, oh, this is really cool.
Yeah, you bet. But you see, you got to do it. And believe in it and know it, and then it happens. Everybody's usually waiting for it to happen, and then they go, oh, well, now I can believe in it. Right. And it works the opposite way.
Yeah.
As you believe, it is delivered to you. As you believe.
Right. With the proper intention, because you want it to be something that you can spread. I mean, a loving thing. The mirror has to reflect back the loving intent. And it's like, how can you lose with that kind of attitude, that kind of thinking? And my gosh, I mean, this book is pretty miraculous, folks. I'm going to leave links to all of it in the description, by the way, but it's just been wonderful. Now, I got to get in touch with my inner geek here, if you don't mind, Dee, because I was sure there's got to be one question she's never been asked about E.T., I'm sure. And I'm thinking, what?
Well, if you can find it, I'll answer it.
Like, what are the odds that I might actually have it? And I really doubt it. But I have to ask it because it's something that every time I would see it, I'd be like, wow, was that ad-libbing? And what I'm referring to specifically is when the kids went out trick-or-treating and didn't come home. And, of course, there's you feeling quite frustrated at the fact that you don't know where they are, and you're putting out the candles with the wand.
Yes.
And then there was that last candle that didn't go out, and you just whack. And I thought, that looks so off the cuff. So now I got to ask.
Yeah, it was. It was. Steven yelled at me, put the candles out. Right? And that one wouldn't, and I got so pissed off that I just smacked that last one. And, I thought he was going to say, oh, we have to redo this. And he went, oh my God, that's perfect. That's perfect.
It was.
And a lot of stuff on the set happened like that. My laugh about penis breath and, getting up from the table to leave. That was not in the script, but I didn't want my kids to see me cry, and I felt the tears coming on. And when I explained that to Steven, he had the crew come in and build another partial set with a sink with running water, so he could take me over to that sink and bring me into that big close-up where I say he hates Mexico.
Right.
And that all just happened. It just happened. And that's how really great creative people work together to make magic.
Yeah, either that or just great actors and great directors. I was so happy to hear you say that was ad-lib, because if it wasn't, it was the most amazingly natural. I mean,
yeah, a lot of stuff. And, Steven worked that way with the kids. The kids would have ideas, and he would be open to listening to all of them. And sometimes Alan Davio, our beautiful DP, would have an idea, but that's when the magic happens on the set. And unfortunately, a lot of people allow their ego to get involved a little too much and think they have to, run the show, and you lose a lot of magic when you do that.
Sure. Everything gets stiff. And that's, again, problem with multiple takes, it's like,
No, please don't even get me started.
I know that situation. Wow. I think everybody's waiting on bated breath too. Has anybody ever asked you the wand question? Meaning when you were putting the candles out?
Not specifically, no.
Well, I just won the lottery.
There you go.
Awesome. I had this sneaking suspicion. I think I might actually have an original question about E.T. It's like everything hasn't been asked.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, thank you for that. And of course, this is retro TV trivia. So my thing was paying homage to classic television, which of course you were a big part of as well. And I know you worked on multiple series, but of the classic series, such as like Starsky and Hutch and Streets of San Francisco, was there a specific favorite classic TV show that you acted on?
Oh, sure. Lou Grant. The hooker that I played, and the episode was called The Hooker. And it really started my whole film career, because Lynn Stallmaster saw me in, aside from the fact that it was just a brilliant written part for a woman. Lynn Stallmaster saw me in it. It was the last day they were casting for 10. They had me come in. By the time I got to my car in the parking lot, they'd booked me. So I really feel like that was, I had done a lot of good work up until then, but 10 was the biggest film, the studio film with a major director,
Yeah.
and Dudley Moore, and who was the sweetest, kindest, gentlest human being I think I've ever worked with. Oh. I just adored him.
So he was Arthur.
He was just a sweet, sweet man. Yeah. We danced on a few tabletops in Mexico. Oh. We'd go out with the crew and and yeah, have some fun. So
I love that. I love hearing that. You know, it's just the fond memories of the people that aren't full of themselves, and I've just been so fortunate that I've been able to talk to folks like you that, you know, are much more than just the fact that, yes, I've done these iconic things, but guess what? I'm here to actually help you live.
Yeah, well, I'm here to be real with you.
Yeah.
You know, and I can be your friend. I'm an actor too. Maybe I've got more credits from you than you, but I'm just another guy who, you know, wants to hang out. And there's a lot to be said. Again, it gives you the freedom of creativity that you so need.
Exactly.
When you're working.
Oh, man, the rest will bog you down to the point where how do you get anything done? How do you create anything if you let the monkey mind take over, right?
Yep. Damn old monkey mind holds us back every time. You know, if you go to your heart, if you just drop into your heart will guide you and tell you what the truth is every time.
Well, there it is. There you have it. Well, Dee, I want to thank you so much for joining me, and I know my followers will get a huge kick out of this. You're a delight. You're a delight. Oh, man, I'm sure you've heard that one before.
You're so cute. Well, you have a beautiful, amazing, fabulous holiday. And to all your viewers, too, just let's take lots of love out into the world in 2023. What do you say?
I could not agree more. I could not.
Yeah.
And you just keep that valuable, gifted insight coming to us, please, because, like I said, I applied it, and my God, something happened.
Yeah. You just keep living it every day. You watch. Your life will become so easy and in the flow. Sure, there's going to be hiccups and setbacks, and those are the gifts for you to go, wow, where's my belief system around this? What do I really want? I'm going to focus on that. And it's just a constant, you know, opportunity to expand, guys.
Sure.
So don't look at it ever as a setback. Look at it as a step forward in possibility.
Beautifully said. Well, what a gift.
Thank you, sir. Happy holidays, and it's been a gas. Thank you.
Yes, it has, Dee. Thank you, and same to you.
Thank you, darling. Bye.
There you have it, another Retro TV Trivia episode in the books. Be sure to check out DeeWallace.com and pick up your copy of Born and its companion book for children entitled BupaLaPaloo and the I Love Me's. You'll find links for the books as well as her social media community in the description. If you haven't already, please subscribe to this podcast and leave me a positive rating and review. You can join my social community at YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram at Golden Rage of TV and on Twitter at Golden Rage of TV1. This is Pat McCormack, and thanks again for listening to Retro TV Trivia.